What are B2B demand generation services and why modern enterprises depend on them? Understanding the role of B2B demand generation services in modern growth. B2B demand generation services refer to structured, multi-channel programs designed to create awareness, build interest, and nurture buying intent among business decision-makers across the entire revenue funnel. Unlike traditional lead generation, which often focuses on capturing contact details at the top of the funnel, demand generation is focused on shaping market perception, educating buyers, and creating consistent engagement that leads to qualified pipeline over time. Modern enterprises operate in highly competitive markets where buyers self-educate long before they speak to sales. As a result, demand generation plays a foundational role in influencing how buyers discover, evaluate, and shortlist potential solutions. These services combine strategy, content, distribution, analytics, and continuous optimization. Enterprises depend on this approach because buying journeys have become complex, non-linear, and research-driven. Prospects interact with multiple channels, consume long-form educational content, compare alternatives, and consult internal stakeholders before making decisions. B2B demand generation services align marketing efforts with this reality by creating a sustained presence across channels that buyers trust and regularly engage with. Rather than chasing volume, modern demand generation focuses on relevance, consistency, and intent. It ensures that brands remain visible across the stages of awareness, consideration, and evaluation. This structured approach reduces reliance on sporadic campaigns and replaces it with predictable, scalable growth frameworks that can support long-term revenue objectives. Why traditional lead generation alone no longer works for enterprises. Many enterprises still rely heavily on isolated lead generation campaigns such as form-gated assets, cold email blasts, and paid acquisition bursts. While these methods can deliver short-term spikes in leads, they often fail to create durable market demand. Decision-makers today are cautious about unsolicited outreach, and generic campaigns struggle to break through noise. Without a sustained narrative and consistent presence, enterprises find themselves repeatedly reintroducing their value proposition to new audiences without building long-term familiarity. B2B demand generation services address this gap by shifting the focus from transactional lead capture to relationship building at scale. Instead of asking buyers to engage immediately, these services create value first through education, insight, and relevance. This approach aligns with how modern buyers prefer to engage. They seek information, context, and credibility before initiating conversations with vendors. Enterprises that rely solely on short-term lead capture often experience poor conversion rates, longer sales cycles, and inconsistent pipeline quality. By integrating demand generation into the core marketing strategy, enterprises can move away from reactive campaigns and toward a proactive, audience-centric growth model. This ensures that when buyers are ready to engage, the brand is already familiar, credible, and trusted. Core components of B2B demand generation services. Effective B2B demand generation services are built on a foundation of strategic planning, consistent execution, and performance-driven optimization. While the exact mix of components varies based on industry, target audience, and market maturity, high-performing programs typically include the following elements: audience research and buyer persona development, intent-based segmentation and targeting, thought leadership and educational content creation, multi-channel distribution across owned, earned, and paid platforms, marketing automation and lifecycle nurturing, analytics, attribution modeling, and performance tracking. Each component plays a distinct role in building demand. Audience research ensures messaging aligns with real business challenges. Intent data helps prioritize accounts that show buying signals. Content supports education and awareness. Distribution ensures visibility across the channels buyers use. Automation supports consistent engagement at scale. Analytics ensures continuous improvement and accountability. Together, these elements form a cohesive system that moves prospects from awareness to consideration to active evaluation. Enterprises depend on this structure because it replaces fragmented marketing activities with an integrated growth engine. How B2B demand generation strategies align marketing with revenue outcomes. Modern enterprises face increasing pressure to demonstrate clear return on marketing investment. B2B demand generation strategies help bridge the gap between marketing activity and revenue impact by aligning campaigns with revenue stages rather than isolated metrics such as impressions or clicks. These strategies are designed around the full buying journey, ensuring that marketing contributes meaningfully to pipeline creation, deal acceleration, and revenue expansion. Effective strategies focus on building qualified demand rather than raw lead volume. This involves identifying high-value accounts, mapping content and messaging to buying stages, and creating coordinated touchpoints that move prospects closer to sales engagement. By integrating sales and marketing objectives, demand generation strategies reduce friction between teams and create shared accountability for pipeline outcomes. Enterprises that adopt structured B2B demand generation strategies benefit from improved visibility into what drives pipeline growth. Marketing efforts become easier to optimize because performance is measured against meaningful outcomes such as opportunity creation, deal velocity, and conversion quality. This alignment enables leadership teams to make more informed investment decisions and scale programs that demonstrate clear business impact. Where B2B demand generation tactics deliver the most impact, B2B demand generation tactics are most effective when applied across the full buying journey rather than isolated stages. Enterprises that treat demand generation as a continuous engagement model rather than a campaign-driven initiative see more consistent results. High-impact tactics focus on visibility, engagement, and intent progression. Common areas where B2B demand generation tactics deliver strong results include account-based engagement for high-value target accounts, educational webinar series and virtual events, thought leadership distribution across professional networks, nurture programs aligned with buying stages, retargeting strategies for high-intent audiences, community-driven engagement and peer learning platforms. These tactics work best when coordinated rather than executed in isolation. For example, webinars supported by targeted distribution and post-event nurturing often outperform standalone events. Similarly, account-based engagement combined with intent data allows enterprises to prioritize accounts showing active buying signals. The effectiveness of tactics increases when supported by consistent messaging and performance measurement. Measuring the success of B2B demand generation services. Measurement plays a critical role in ensuring demand generation efforts remain effective and accountable. Enterprises depend on performance frameworks that connect marketing activity to revenue outcomes. Rather than focusing solely on top-of-funnel metrics, modern measurement approaches track progression through the buying journey. Key measurement areas typically include engagement quality across channels, account-level progression through buying stages, conversion rates between lifecycle stages, contribution to qualified pipeline, impact on deal velocity and win rates. These metrics provide a more accurate picture of how B2B demand generation services influence growth. By tracking engagement at the account level and mapping content interactions to pipeline outcomes, enterprises can identify what drives meaningful movement toward revenue. This insight supports continuous optimization and helps leadership teams prioritize high-impact initiatives. Common challenges enterprises face in demand generation. Despite the clear benefits, enterprises often face challenges when implementing demand generation frameworks. These challenges typically relate to alignment, execution complexity, and measurement maturity. Without clear ownership and integrated planning, demand generation can become fragmented across teams and channels. Common challenges include misalignment between sales and marketing objectives, inconsistent messaging across channels, limited visibility into account-level engagement, over-reliance on short-term campaigns, insufficient data integration across platforms. Addressing these challenges requires a structured approach that integrates people, process, and technology. Enterprises that invest in cross-functional alignment, shared performance goals, and unified data frameworks are better positioned to sustain long-term demand generation success. The future outlook for B2B demand generation services. The future of B2B demand generation services is shaped by evolving buyer expectations, increased emphasis on data-driven decision-making, and growing demand for personalized engagement. As buying journeys become more self-directed, enterprises will need to invest further in content-driven education, intent-based targeting, and lifecycle orchestration. Emerging trends indicate that demand generation will continue to shift toward account-centric models, deeper integration with sales workflows, and greater reliance on behavioral insights. Enterprises that treat demand generation as a strategic capability rather than a tactical function will be better positioned to adapt to market changes and sustain competitive advantage. The long-term value of demand generation lies in its ability to create durable market presence. Rather than chasing short-term wins, enterprises that invest in structured, insight-driven demand generation frameworks build brands that buyers recognize, trust, and prefer over time. How are B2B demand generation strategies different from lead generation? B2B demand generation strategies focus on creating and nurturing demand throughout the buyer journey rather than capturing contact information at a single point in time. Lead generation often prioritizes volume, while demand generation emphasizes relevance, intent, and lifecycle engagement. This strategic approach supports higher quality pipeline, improved conversion rates, and stronger alignment between marketing and revenue outcomes.